I would like.
Okay, ready? Hey Cam followers, this is a biggie. I know that there's many of you that have been looking forward to this evening. Sean was with us last year and he had an epic Facebook Live with us for about an hour, and we've managed to drag him back, and we're going to be talking about another very important part of managing arthritis. So, Sean, how you doing? You well?
Yeah, thanks for having me back.
Good.
Like I'm hogging the airwaves this month, huh?
Yeah. No, there's been a lot of excitement about your return.
All right. I don't know how to take that, but okay.
Yes. So what we're going to do is crack on straight away. Now, the noise quality is just a little bit bad on my end. So please, can a Cam ambassador or one of the viewers comment on whether the sound quality is okay? I'm more than happy to so that Sean has the airspace. Otherwise, let's crack on. So what are supplements? Let's go back to basics. What is a supplement?
Yeah, so a supplement in terms of joint supplements, I suppose, is a nutritional ingredient normally. So it can be, a herbal supplement. It can be a certain compound that you're putting into food or that you're feeding alone in kind of tablet or powder form. That has certain medical or therapeutic claims for certain conditions. So the ones that we see for joint disease, like in dogs with arthritis, would be ones that claim to ease the pain of arthritis or help support healthy joint development or healthy joint kind of function, or it could be kind of more kind of prescriptive claims like anti-inflammatory properties and things like that. So a whole range, a very diverse array of quite confusing ingredients at times that are either used in diets, pet food, or else they're used as standalone supplements that you use in addition to a complete and balanced diet that claim to help your dog with whatever health problems they have. And in this case, obviously, we're going to focus on joint health.
Amazing. Okay. So let's just recap on something really important there. You said claims.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
Okay, so anything that a company is putting out for the benefit of pet health in order to sell a product, you normally are making claims on what the benefits are of your product. So whether that's a diet for just ongoing maintenance of pet health, a pet food company like Tails.com, for example, might say, our food is proven to help your dog live a happier and healthier life. Now, that's a fairly bland claim, I suppose, and it's not too difficult to prove. And we have countless testimonials to say that, dogs that are eating our food live happy, healthy lives, or maybe improved on another competitor's food, and so on. But if we're putting out more serious claims that are medicinal in particular, there's legislation around what we can and cannot say. And that applies for pharmaceutical companies as well as nutrition companies. If you're making medicinal or therapeutic claims like our supplement is proven to reduce inflammation in osteoarthritic dogs, that's a medical claim. And it comes under the kind of more stringent legislation from the Veterinary Medicines Directorate about what you can and cannot say. And if you're going to say a medicinal claim like proven to reduce inflammation, then you have to back that up with scientific evidence to that effect. Now, the way a lot of companies can get around the kind of softer claims and sometimes quite dubious marketing claims, so they're not making traditional medical claims covered by the legislation because they're not using certain words like anti-inflammatory or healing or curing. So there's certain language that falls under this legislation. And if you want to get around it to sell your supplement or your product, whatever it is, you can use softer claims like helps support joint health instead of cures joint disease. So cures joint disease would be very much a medicinal claim, and you'll really get a rap on the knuckles from the powers that be if you put out a joint supplement and say, this cures arthritis in dogs. That's a crazy strong claim. You need to back it up. But what you could say is, help support joint health in osteoarthritic dogs. And then it's a little bit more of a grey area and you might not fall under that legislation. So it's a bit of a minefield for someone with an untrained eye to kind of tease apart what this product that I'm kind of considering buying is actually claiming to do. Is it claiming to cure my dog of the pain associated with arthritis? Is it just saying that it's going to provide some supportive ingredients that may help my dog's knee joint?
And would you say it's fair that if you see a supplement with quite outrageous claims, avoid it? Because they're not respecting the rules and regulations. So therefore, do they respect content and production and batch numbers and traceability and everything like that? So it's a bit of a blanket statement, but I know in my mind, if they're really willing to flaunt those rules, then they're likely to flaunt other rules.
Yeah, perhaps. I think my advice on that one would be if they're making very strong claims about the efficacy of their product and what it's claiming to do, then you need to go to their website or request some information from them that backs up those claims. So any kind of credible and responsible company that's making kind of medicinal or very near medicinal claims should have lots of information, scientific studies, and proof of efficacy proudly published on their website.
Right.
If there's no research there, or the research hasn't been peer-reviewed or published in a journal, or doesn't look like it's a scientific paper, but it's an opinion piece saying, our product does this because we say it does, and loads of our customers say that it's helped their dogs, then walk away or be very wary about parting with your money for that kind of supplement.
And on that note, we are going to do a Facebook Live in the next few weeks talking about looking for clinical proof, because I know that I'm not strong on it, you know, so it's something that I think is highly disadvantageous to the public. They don't have the training to tell what is a proper reference and what is presented in the same format as a reference. So
yeah,
everybody sees that small print black test 1 to 5 at the bottom and go, oh, that must be 5 clinically respected papers, when in fact they could just be a magazine article.
That's the thing. I think the one tip, you're going to cover it in a Facebook Live, which is great. It's really needed, I think, to kind of tease apart what is a solid reference and what's not. But I think the thing to look for in that listing at the bottom of references is what journal has it been published in. And I'm not going to name any. I don't want to make any more enemies than I already have in the world of nutrition, because it's quite a contentious topic. But there's certain, and I'm going to say a kind of category of journals that exist out there which are natural, holistic, and call themselves journals, but they're not actually scientific peer-reviewed journals. So you want to go for a scientifically credible and peer-reviewed journal. There's lots of websites, some very, very popular websites that come up on page 1 of Google when you search for joint supplements for dogs, that are claiming to be scientific and credible and evidence-based, but actually when you start to tease it apart, it's not proven. It's quite anecdotal, and it's very, very biased away from medicine, away from even evidence-based supplement reviews and things, and it's very much pushing certain ways of feeding, certain ways of supplementing. Certain ones of them are very anti-veterinary as well, and can do more harm than good, if I'm honest.
On that note, I'm just going to pause. Let me know, guys, that you can still hear this, because we're running live and you've been very quiet for us. So I just want to make sure that everybody's still on board. On that note, while I wait to make sure people are still with us, I heard a terrible story that there's some more journals that you can pay to put an article in now.
Really? I haven't heard that.
Yeah. So it's getting harder and harder. So now tell me about, well, let's go straight for it. We can bounce back. Let's talk about what is out there and what is strong evidence behind it, etc.
What's out there and what has strong evidence? Yeah. Okay, so I think the point of tonight for me, anyway, tell me your view, is I'd like to talk about ingredients and what kind of supplements are out there, and what has proven benefits and what maybe is still a grey area. It's probably not for me to start getting into calling out supplements by name and companies by name and saying theirs is good, theirs isn't, because I haven't had time to do all of that research on every product that's out there. So the first thing to say is I'm going to talk about ingredients. And if you're kind of evaluating a supplement, whether or not to buy it, the first thing to do is look at the ingredients that are there. So we'll talk about those individual supplements and some of the research around how effective they are or not. The second thing I'd say before we even get into that is there's a lot of evidence, or there's a lot of studies, or there's a lot of talk on research about joint supplements, which applies to human studies. And we first have to realize that actually dogs are not humans. And as vets, we study a variety of species of animal, and all of them absorb and utilize different drugs and supplements and different even nutrients differently across species. So we need to be very careful not to extrapolate human studies and say this supplement was proven to help humans with arthritis or other inflammatory issues, so therefore it must be good for dogs. That's not always the case. Yeah. In fact, in some research, it's been shown that certain human drugs or supplements can actually be harmful for dogs. So giving your dog a human supplement is not a good idea, really, in general.
But people do that because they generally are more readily available and they're cheaper. So it's not, I don't blame the public for doing this, but when you're looking at a supplement and you see Holland and Barrett do something similar, but you get double the amount of capsules for half the price, you just, well, I'll do that.
Yeah. And sometimes those cheap supplements are a false economy because they can be the same name, but a slightly different compound, so a chemical compound. So the example of that being glucosamine, which is one of the most common, I suppose, and most well-known supplements, certainly in human health for joint support. Glucosamine sulfate is much cheaper than glucosamine hydrochloride. Yeah. But there is strong evidence to say that hydrochloride is better absorbed, better utilized by the human body, and so is a better supplement to take. But again, there's conflicting studies on that. So I don't know where you want to start, Hannah. Should we start going through a list of ingredients and supplements?
How do you want to do it? Do we do the whole non-steroidal supplement thing now, or do we do it at the end? Your choice.
I think let's talk about first the role of supplements.
Yes.
And let's start there, because from my perspective, and I'm very much, a nutrition-focused vet, so for me, you would think that I would be like, it's supplements, it's nutraceuticals all the way. Another word for supplements, by the way, is nutraceuticals instead of pharmaceuticals. So they're naturally occurring kind of food ingredients that are almost or claim to have a pharmaceutical effect, but they're not man-made drugs. So nutraceuticals or supplements, you would think that a nutrition-focused vet would be saying, this is the cure-all, this is the answer. I'm very much not saying that, and I think some people will be maybe surprised by my advice tonight, and maybe be surprised by my dismissal of certain nutraceuticals or supplements in terms of their efficacy or their role. So starting out with the role of supplements, I would say it's really, really important. We talked about it in the last Facebook Live we did. It's super, super important that we think holistically about our dogs' management of their condition. And when I say holistically, I don't mean natural, raw feeding, anti-vaccine, using kind of not using any flea or wormers and things. That actually has become a bit of a misnomer in dog circles. Holistic meaning natural. I mean holistic as in we take everything into account with that dog's life and management and lifestyle and its individual disease state, and we come up with a management plan based on the individual dog, taking into account drugs, taking into account exercise, weight control, diet, supplements, and everything else. So the role of supplements for me really feeds into a bigger conversation around how we manage each dog as an individual. And I think just going really back to basics, the biggest thing that we can do for dogs that are, suffering with arthritis that's going to get worse over time, weight control. Sensible exercise you know, regular sensible exercise to keep their joints moving and to keep joint fluid production, and to help them move freely and easily and not seize up in those difficult joints. Alternative therapies that again stimulate movement and a healthy musculoskeletal system, so whether it's physiotherapy, hydrotherapy, things like that, acupuncture, you know, other kind of multimodal approaches to managing dogs and their mobility. Then we're into pharmaceuticals, so anti-inflammatory medications, pain medication, which are really, really important when it comes to managing our dog's quality of life. And then diet in general. Again, we can support our dog's kind of joint health with diet, and under the diet umbrella comes supplements. So you'll see, just based on that list, which I've kind of prioritized in order of importance in my mind, that supplements actually come down. They're a very small part of the picture. They can be an important part of the picture, but I think they're wildly overemphasized in a lot of people's management plan for their dog. There's a tendency, and I don't want to, you know, I'm not criticizing anyone for going down this route. It's very understandable that we would go there first, but there can be a tendency amongst dog owners who are very worried about their pet and are trying to do their best for them, and are bombarded with a ton of information on all 5 of those different things, that they think that if I choose the right joint supplement, or if I throw enough joint supplements at my dog, then that will maybe be the best option, or definitely the safest option. And I'll do that before I ever go near pharmaceuticals, for example. I don't want to put my dog on medication for the rest of their life, either because they're fearful of side effects, or they are worried about the costs of that, or they're worried about the hassle of
the vet visits.
Yeah.
So in there, I just want to just talk about a couple of cases that I've seen recently where the dog walked in, and to a normal eye, you go, well, it's not bad. He ain't that bad. He's a bit stiff. And when you actually start doing your clinical exam and you start manipulating those joints and you start actually palpating, you realise the dog's like, ow, just don't. And I think people really need to understand that by the time that they get to see the vet, by the time in their mind there's a problem, that dog's actually been coping for a long time. And often the pain state at that point is pretty significant. So I'm like you, I have this multimodal approach in my head. I just wonder whether people could accept a shift of introduce anti-inflammatory, get the pain under control, supplements come behind, pain control goes. Woohoo! Done it the other way around. Whereas you seem to have people that go supplement, oh my God, crisis, and now pain relief. And I think that's sad.
Yeah. And the important word you use there, I think, is coping. So our dogs are very, very stoic and want to please us, and often their mind is aging far less than their body and their creaking joints. And we sort of tend to normalize what we see all the time, or what we grew up with. You know, if we've been dog owners all our lives, you know, and we listen to other dog owners that have been dog owners all their lives, you'll commonly hear dog owners say when they have an old dog, oh yeah, he's just old, he's just a bit stiff. But we talked about it last time that him just being a bit stiff, or her just being a bit stiff, is discomfort and pain. And I talked about my sliding scale conversation of, like, you know, introducing the concept of discomfort leading into pain. And often, you know, by the time, you know, the dog is literally creaking and sometimes comes into the vet for, you know, something else, or comes in because they're very worried about his ability to get up out of bed or something like that, then there's definitely pain there. But dogs are, you know, masters of disguise, really, and they will hide that. And when we see it in our house every day, and it's a gradual process that's gone on for the past several years, it's hard for us to admit, oh, actually, yeah, no, he is in pain right now. But putting him onto a trial of an anti-inflammatory or pain medication, you'll sometimes see the big difference in your dog. And I think that
I wouldn't say sometimes, I'd say a lot. And it's kind of interesting meeting these, oh, he's gone. He'll come back. Until he comes back, I don't know why he just disappeared. Let's just invite him again. I'll just text, make sure that he hasn't had an accident. But yeah, sometimes in the box, he's back. What happens? No, we haven't. You're back alive. Yeah, sometimes in these, God, I've lost my train of thought now. Yes, most of the people that come to see me and we end up doing a trial of a medication, I'd say the vast majority come back and go, I just didn't realise. And
Yeah.
I'm glad that I've done this because I now have a benchmark to set to so that I can use other interventions to achieve the same. That's what I try and say to people is, don't see your vet's choice of putting your dog onto an anti-inflammatory as that's forever. That's no one's plan. Now the weight of responsibility lies with you, the owner, to lose the weight, change the lifestyle, introduce other angles of attack, and try and remove the anti-inflammatory. We try to get you back off of them.
Yeah.
We use anti-inflammatories for a very ethical reason. They're quick to control pain. They give you a benchmark for you to start understanding how your dog presents to you pain, because you go, oh my God, I can't believe he's picking up his ball and bringing it to me. He's greeting me at the front door again. I thought that was just age.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. And the other thing to always remind ourselves is what are the supplements doing? And the issue with most of the supplements, if not all of the joint supplements marketed currently, is they're not dealing with pain.
No.
Okay, so there's a big difference between I'm giving my dog the most expensive, most popular, most well-known joint supplement. So therefore, you know, that's great. My dog's getting a good solution to his osteoarthritis, and he's no longer painful. That's probably not actually true. So it's important to distinguish between pain relief and supportive kind of diet or supportive supplements. And virtually all of the supplements are designed to support and be an aid. And I think we kind of need to not be so scared of the multimodal approach of using supplements in conjunction with pain relief and anti-inflammatories. It's not one or the other. For me, in most cases, joint support and leading into a conversation or at some point deciding to put them onto pain relief and anti-inflammatories is the path that most dogs need to take at some point in their journey.
And I just want to butt in, I hope people realise there is a little bit of a psychological game going on in CAM at the moment. I am making sure that CAM invites lovely vets like Sean to give you confidence. So we select people to come for Facebook Lives because we want you owners to feel confident in the veterinary profession, that we are making sure that we're doing the best for your pet. So we want you to be confident in us and the decisions that we make for you. And thank you, Sean, for giving your time to do this.
Yeah, and I think, like, you know, I read a lot of dog forums. Probably shouldn't. It's probably not good for
I know, don't.
Probably not good for my blood pressure sometimes when I read them. But like, I see countless discussions about vets and this kind of conspiracy theory that we're selling drugs, you know, and we're just going to put every animal on drugs because it makes a profit and da, da, da. I mean, okay, there's going to be some bad eggs out there, but the vast majority of vets, you know, got into vetting because they want to help animals and they want to, you know, help.
The vast majority of vets drive really shit cars because we actually don't earn the money that people think we do.
Yeah. The money that's paid at the till in the vet clinic goes into running the vet clinic. It doesn't go into the vet's pocket. So I think if we're prescribing an anti-inflammatory medication to say, do you know what, let's see about this for 2 weeks and come back to me and let me know how he's doing, what's the comfort levels like, have you seen any difference in kind of your dog's demeanor and things like that, is really to kind of illustrate, actually, if we take some of that pain away, what difference are we seeing? And I think that's a good tool. As you said, it's not always, oh, we've put your dog on medication and that's it for good now and we're never going to chat again about management. It's an ongoing discussion. And the thing that I encourage pet owners all the time is, especially with something like arthritis, where it's a chronic degenerative disease that is going to get worse with time no matter what we do, even if we're managing it with all the gold standard tools in our kit. It's still something that's going to progress and is going to factor into quality of life assessments for the rest of your pet's life. So working with your vet and having, you know, open and honest discussions about what you're worried about. what your concerns are about their suggestion. You know, taking that time to actually let your vet understand what your concerns are, rather than kind of going, okay, yeah, and walking out and kind of reluctantly taking some medication that you don't understand why your dog's gone onto it, and walking out the door and kind of being a bit in the dark about it, is the exact opposite of what your vet wants. You know, and open dialogue and discussion, I think, is the biggest thing to kind of try and get into the habit of doing, especially when managing a chronic case, like a chronic disease.
Totally agree. And I think on that note, any nurses, any vets, any therapists that watch these guys, let's start thinking outside the box. Let's start making the vet practice a more welcoming environment. Let's think about group consults. You know, we say the same things a lot to different people. There's no reason that we shouldn't have arthritis group sessions where we can talk about weight control, the nutraceuticals, how pain medication works. We want to see you be thinking, come up with some innovative approaches for us to actually really manage this disease properly, because countless people in the UK today probably did 2 to 10 consults involving arthritis in their day's work. Let's think how we can do this differently. So anyway, on that note, let's start going through your list.
Yeah.
Let's crack on. I'm going to let you lead because this is your area.
Okay, no worries. If anyone has any questions, just type them in, and Hannah, you can just go as they come in, or we can get them at the end. But yeah, I get asked all the time about what supplements work, what supplements don't, or my dog's on this product name, where can I get it cheaper, which is the most effective and best value for money. As I said, I'm not here to promote or to slate any particular product. It wouldn't be very professional of me. I haven't done enough critical research on each product, and that's not what I'm here to do. I'm here to talk to you about ingredients, I think. And if we're gonna start, I guess let's start with the ones that are credible and have proof behind them and have been shown to be effective. So the single take-home message of tonight's Facebook Live is that the only joint supplement ingredient that is clinically proven to reduce... Oh, my lights have gone off.
I was just like, what is that? Dun, dun,
it's to build suspense. Hang on a second.
Oh my God, the suspense is building.
I know. That was not a trick. But it's closing down office time. So the only clinically proven joint supplement ingredient to reduce inflammation in the arthritic joint in dogs is omega-3 fatty acid. Mm-hmm. Okay, so the kind of baseline, if you're going to choose a supplement, whether it's a kind of a combined supplement or whether it's a diet that includes joint support in it, what you're looking for first off in terms of efficacy is omega-3. So they're sometimes referred to as essential fatty acids, EFAs. Sometimes you'll see on the label that they've got omega fatty acids, DHA and EPA. So there's various ways they're referred to. Sometimes you'll see them referred to as marine lipids, or marine fatty acids, or essential fatty acids from marine sources. So all of these types of labels and ingredients are describing omega-3 fatty acids. Now, omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids have to be balanced in a diet in general. They work in quite close conjunction with each other. And omega-6 is pro-inflammatory and omega-3 is anti-inflammatory. But they need to work in conjunction with each other. You always have to have them in balance. But in what they found in clinical trials is that by boosting omega-3 fatty acids in a diet, whether that's in the food itself or through supplementing, it can block some of the pro-inflammatory action of omega-6. You need some inflammatory action in the body. If we didn't have inflammatory action, our immune system wouldn't fight things that shouldn't be there. And what happens in the diseased joint, in the arthritic joint, is that there's inflammatory compounds produced over time from diseased bone, joint tissue, cartilage, and from pressure loading within the joint space itself. And those feed back to the brain and cause a pain response in the brain. With supplementing omega fatty acids, then you do find that actually it down regulates the inflammatory process in the joint, and it's been proven. This is the only one that does have an impact on pain itself, because it has an indirect effect on pain. Because if it's dialing down the inflammatory chemical release at the level of the joint, then the brain is picking that up less and is building up pain neurological pathways, and the dog is feeling less pain. But it's not a direct pain relief. It doesn't substitute giving pain relief and anti-inflammatory medication in a dog that needs that as well.
How long do they take to really show effect? Because there's a lot of disagreement about that. You know, I've heard from 3 weeks to 3 months.
Yeah, great question. So there's lots of studies. It's a good point to make now, that a lot of the studies that I will kind of loosely reference or kind of have in the back of my brain and have gone through, a lot of the studies are quite conflicting for various reasons. Some of them are teasing apart the effects of single ingredients and single supplements, like we're testing purely a type of omega-3 called EPA, or we're testing purely a type of omega-3 called DHA. Those are the two ones that have been shown to have the most potent effect. They're called eicosapentaenoic acid and docosahexaenoic acid, but DHA, EPA. Yeah, stupid long names that, like, you know, don't really mean anything. But DHA and EPA, some of the studies will be looking at just those. Some of them will be looking at those in conjunction with glucosamine and chondroitin in a kind of a combined joint product. And some of the studies are using using small groups of dogs. Some of them are using large groups of dogs. Some of them are relying on objective pain scores or comfort scores or mobility scores by objectively measuring. So putting a pedometer on a dog and finding out how active it is with or without this supplement over a long period of time, or doing what we call pressure plate loading. So seeing how much force a dog uses when it's walking on certain pressure plates to actually quantify, is that dog favoring the diseased limb, for example, by not putting as much pressure on it? And if we give this supplement, does it put more pressure on the limb, therefore use it more, therefore we can kind of say it's in less pain? So
these objective measures are more likely, they're less likely to lie and be influenced by our wants. So we all want our dog to get better, but the force plate doesn't. He's just like, it is what it is. So you can't assume them so easily.
Yeah, but even in some of the studies with kind of objective measures like force plate and pedometers and things like that, they've used them alongside subjective measures. So subjective is what we feel is happening or what we're observing, and it's a bit more prone to bias if we think we're seeing what we want to see, or if we're confusing other factors that might affect that patient, for example, and say, yeah, he is more happy, he is doing better. Sometimes, for example, we can have a placebo effect on the dog by acting like the dog is more happy to go for walks, therefore the dog is more happy to go for walks. So the difficulty of evaluating, like, clinically proven, even in good quality studies, is there's lots and lots of variables. And then it's very hard to tease out, okay, what is, on the basis of all the studies that are out there, what's the ideal duration of supplementing that will bring about results? I would say you're talking about weeks rather than days on balance. You're not going to see a massive effect of giving your dog a joint supplement on day 2 or day 5 or even day 10. It's normally you're going to see those improvements come about over a longer period of time. And within that period of time, if you have changed lots of other things with your dog's management, because you're now taking their management of their arthritis very seriously, and you've got some weight off them, and you've put anti-slip mats in your house, and they did also 3 sessions of hydrotherapy, and you've also given them a supplement which has multiple compounds in, sometimes it's just natural for us to go to, I've given him turmeric, and the turmeric has done wonders. And it's like, but what about all the other interventions you've done? So it's very difficult to say what is have a controlled kind of measure of I can tell you that if you supplement your dog with omega-3 fatty acid containing DHA and EPA, they will have resolution of clinical signs in 4 weeks. That just is, there's too many variables. Every dog's individual, every owner's management protocol is individual. So it's difficult. But my advice is, it's going to take weeks rather than days. It's probably going to take months, and you really need to have joint supplements in your arsenal of tools, in your toolkit, as part of a holistic management program.
And just rewind, guys, go back about 10 minutes ago and said, wouldn't it be lovely if the world started thinking, well, I'll start them together with the hope that the non-steroidal will come up. Whereas there's a trend at the moment, which is I'll start him on the joint supplement and I'll add the anti-inflammatory if I need it. Now, if Sean's correct, which I know he is, do you really want your dog to be in 3 months of pain while you're waiting for the joint supplement to kick in? No one wants that. You want to deal with the pain now. So it's not that we're saying don't use them, or it's not a sit on the fence, black and white decisions. It's about let's just remodel the way that we consider them.
Yeah, and also let's think about timing as well, because there is definitely a benefit in if your dog. Let's talk about the dogs that aren't in pain yet, but have very early stages of bony changes or very early signs of arthritic disease where they can be managed. Maybe funds are an issue, or maybe the dog actually is very, very comfortable unless he does over-strenuous exercise, or when he's been, chasing a ball catcher in the park the day before and then he's stiff. Those kind of things. But if certain dogs, earlier in their journey on that arthritic progression, are fairly comfortable, there is a kind of a solid reasoning or a solid benefit, I guess, to saying let's start them on joint supplements now, so that we have kind of healthy joint support in the repertoire before we get to pain relief. So there's different populations of animals that we can treat differently as well. But yeah, I think just bear in mind.
But I think most people, if I'm really honest, most people that have come onto this platform, the vast majority will have been sent there by their friends or their vets or their dog trainer, who's seen that their dog is beginning to struggle, and we know for the outward signs of discomfort to be there, the inward signs are going to be pretty significant. So I hope that our followers, the demographics are beginning to change. We've got a lot of followers now who've been with us for 4 years, and sadly they've lost an older dog or a more debilitated dog, and they have a new dog in the household who's a lot younger without problems, and that's perfect. If that's the route you want to go, then get them in early. Cool. What kind of milligram per kilogram are we talking? Because that's a regular question.
The range is huge. So on those studies, they've found, I can't remember offhand for every supplement. I'd need to have a table in front of me. Our nutritionist could recite those. But what you find is in those studies, the quotations for dosage actually varies quite highly. And basically what they're doing for omega-3 in particular is they're just boosting levels to within what's proven to be a safe zone, basically, of no harm coming to the dog by consuming this level amount per kilo. So different supplements, different foods and things like that will show you the range, or show you the kind of the value of the ingredient they're including. And there's some resources online that you can find what's kind of suitable. But I can't quote you offhand. I think it's somewhere, like on some of the studies, it's in the region of between 50 and 220 milligrams per kilo.
I was going to say the same. I've seen 50 to like 170.
Yeah.
So that leads me on to the next question. If someone is like, right, I'm taking this, I'm going to buy the book, I'm going to go high level omega-3 fatty acids from marine-based source, can they do harm? Or is it going to just be a bit of diarrhea and they go, whoa, need to come back a bit?
Can it do harm? Yeah. So any changes in diet can do harm if we make them too suddenly. There's certain dogs, for example, I did get asked the question, I think I put it out on Twitter, what are your burning questions? And someone said on Twitter that their dog has difficulty with joint supplements because most of them are oil-based or fat-based, and their dog has pancreatitis and digestive issues. So then you were in a bit of a difficult position, Because if we're starting with the gold standard of joint supplement being omega-3 fatty acids, what we might want to do is, if we're going to include that as a supplement, we might want to look at their diet in general and reduce the fat level in their main kind of maintenance food. So we don't want to start adding in, you know, an extra source of very rich fat or fish oils, for example, into a dog that is prone to pancreatitis stimulated by dietary fat. So talking to your vet about options on how we could manage that, you know, diet going forward, how we can boost marine kind of fish oils and things for omega-3 content in the diet without causing upset.
And I'm gonna be politically. Ooh, did she just say that? I'm busy. I'm really busy. I love Luna, and everybody who watches these know how much I adore that dog. And I would love to go home. No, actually, I wouldn't love to go home and cook for dinner. I'm too busy. I've got things to do. So I do rely on more than me creating suitable diets for my dog. And I do think that we have to appreciate that there are some really good quality pet food nutritional companies that the vet can pick up the phone and say, hey, you know, I've got a dog with pancreatitis. He's also suffering from arthritis. He's prone to inflammatory bowel problems. Help me choose an appropriate diet. So can we not down these companies and actually go, you're bloody amazing, you know, to juggle those requirements pretty hard.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, next question about plant-based omega-3. So let's finish the omega-3. Plant-based, marine-based?
Marine-based. So there are some supplements coming out that are, you know, claiming kind of the same type of benefits on, you know, seaweed extracts and different plant extracts of omega fatty acids. But I would say the body of evidence that is out there already is all based around marine lipids rather than plant-based. And I would be inclined that if you're going to spend, you know, good money on a good quality supplement, for now, go with the one that is, you know, has decades or at least, you know, years and years of research and kind of solid evidence behind it. So exciting area of research, but I would say if you're going to choose one, choose marine-based.
This is a real wild card, and I haven't prepped you for this, but there's a massive push for veganism now. There's a massive plant-based drive. And there is a few companies online talking about algae-based omega-3s. What do you think about them?
So yeah, seaweed is an algae. So they use seaweed and algae as the source of omega-3 fatty acids for joint supplements. I think it's good. I think we all need to be thinking, whether it's, you know, any industry needs to be thinking about sustainability now. I know you know that I'm a massive environmentalist and conservationist outside of my vet world, but yeah, we need to be thinking about that. And I would say that it's a very exciting area of research, and definitely we need to be taking sustainability factors into our decision making. But at the moment, I just want to see a little bit more evidence before I say this is preferable. But what I would say that is, if you are choosing a marine lipid based omega-3 supplement, that you do look into the sustainability factors of that product, that company that's producing it. So I know that there's a wide variety of products on the market. Some of them very good and backed up by science. Some of them maybe cutting corners on their ingredient sourcing and things. But a company that, or there's a couple of companies that are kind of setting themselves apart. Their point of difference is we have similar or the same quality and the same bioavailability of these compounds. It's the same quality product, but our point of difference, our USP, our unique selling point, is that the way we produce or the way we source our raw ingredient, which is often oily fish or green-lipped mussels, for example, is far more environmentally friendly.
Yeah, okay. Just on the same environmental take, people that choose to buy things in bulk because of packaging, this is a real wild card, but you do see people that will choose to buy a pot with 120 rather than a small pot of 30, and they're just thinking to themselves, I don't want packaging. Omega-3 can, you know, they can oxygenate, can't they, or something like oxidize and become rank. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think just need to be careful to follow like the manufacturer's guidelines and make sure that the manufacturer has guidelines on you know, storage, and that they kind of thought that through. Obviously, it's cheaper to buy in bulk, but it's not cheaper to buy a product that's going to be ineffective for the last month you're using it.
Yes.
So just be very careful the type of.
Yeah, we've got a good question here about cod liver oil.
Yeah, cod liver oil is a marine fish, an oily fish supplement. So it is good. It doesn't always contain the same kind of levels of DHA and EPA that are contained in a more kind of higher quality or more targeted dog joint supplement, which has clinical evidence behind it and is using a very refined form that isolates and kind of concentrates the active compounds in fish oils. So it's good, but it's probably not as effective as some of the more refined supplements. And that's the point of difference on some products as well. A lot of products are out there, but some of the kind of leaders or more expensive products, or the ones that are kind of more scientific and evidence-based, are really selling their point of difference being the way we extract and the way we harvest and the way we dry and store and concentrate our product means that it is much more bioavailable. Your dog will absorb more, your dog will gain more benefit from it. And there's a few that actually are putting out quite convincing studies that is actually a proven difference compared to some of the cheaper, lower end range of the market supplements available.
Yeah, I'm just going to tell you, there's a few Facebook Lives with the CEO of Limpet, and he was just talking about how the green-lit muscle market is very, very difficult. You know, there's lots of people playing in the same pie, and you know, when you're extracting content from that green-lit muscle and you've taken the active ingredients, what you want, what happens to the rest of it? And that unfortunately remains to be taken up by another company to put into their products. It's really terrifying.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Does the company that produces it from the kind of secondary product of the first company, is that effective? Yeah, it probably is effective because it's still using the same compounds, but it's probably not as potent if we believe in the evidence of potency matters and the amount matters. What we can be doing sometimes is if we're over supplementing our dogs with the finest omega-3 fish oils, you know, that you can find in the land, and we're giving them kind of the maximum dose, is it touching the side, or is the dog's body wasting a lot of that because it can only utilize so much? So again, there's grey areas there, and dog owners shouldn't feel guilty into, I can't afford the, you know, product that's only sold in the vet clinic, but I can afford one that's sold online, but I've researched it and it does contain omega-3, DHA and EPA specifically, and it's more in my price bracket, and that's better than not supplementing at all. So we need to be careful.
I think this point is really important. No matter what intervention, whether we're doing a Facebook Live about complementary therapies, be it physio, massage, hydro, or whether we're doing one about pharmaceuticals, or we're doing one about nutrition, we haven't got a crystal ball. We don't know how your dog is going to respond. You as the owner need to learn to be objective and start making some good quality decisions.